Have you ever wondered why so many men over 40 suddenly stop chasing women even when they're perfectly capable of dating? There's a deep psychological shift that happens around this age, a combination of experience, self-awareness, and changing priorities. Today, we're diving into the real reasons behind this transformation and what it reveals about men, relationships, and life itself. One of the most noticeable changes in men over 40 is how their priorities shift. In their younger years, a lot of focus is on external validation, dating frequently, impressing women, and constantly seeking approval from others. But as men cross the 40-year mark, they begin to see life through a different lens. The thrill of the chase starts to fade, not because they have lost interest in relationships, but because they have started valuing what truly matters in life. By this age, many men have experienced enough to understand that chasing women endlessly is not the key to happiness. Instead, priorities like career stability, financial security, health, and personal growth begin to take center stage. The time and energy previously spent on dating multiple women or trying to win someone over are now redirected toward goals that offer long-term satisfaction. For example, a man might invest in building a business, improving his fitness, or learning new skills, knowing that these achievements provide deeper fulfillment than short-term romantic conquests. This shift in priorities also comes from the awareness that life is finite and time is precious. Younger men often operate under the assumption that they have endless opportunities to explore relationships, but men over 40 start to recognize that wasting energy on superficial pursuits is less satisfying than investing in meaningful connections. There's a clear understanding that chasing someone who isn't aligned with one's values or life goals is not just exhausting, but counterproductive. Instead of focusing on quantity, men start focusing on quality, relationships that bring emotional depth, shared values, and long-term compatibility. Health and self-care become another key factor in this shift. As men age, they become more conscious of their physical and mental well-being. Late nights out chasing dates or constantly seeking validation from women are often replaced with routines that promote energy, vitality, and longevity. Men realize that maintaining their health and nurturing themselves allows them to bring their best selves to relationships rather than being drained by endless pursuit. The social circle also plays a role. By 40, many men have a clearer idea of who their true friends are, which reinforces the tendency to focus on meaningful interactions over superficial ones. They start to spend more time with people who uplift them and invest in relationships that matter, including romantic partnerships. The desire to impress everyone fades, replaced by the desire to create stability, joy, and fulfillment in the relationships that count. Additionally, this shift in priorities is deeply tied to self-awareness. Men over 40 have had enough life experience to understand what they want, and more importantly, what they don't want. They no longer feel compelled to chase someone just because it seems exciting or socially expected. There is a newfound clarity in knowing their own worth, which naturally reduces the urgency to pursue women who may not align with their lifestyle, values, or emotional needs. Financial independence is another subtle but powerful factor. Younger men often feel pressure to demonstrate status through dating or attracting partners, but men in their 40s are usually more secure in their finances and lifestyle. This security allows them to approach relationships from a place of choice rather than need. They pursue connections intentionally, not out of fear of being alone or missing out, which fundamentally changes the dynamics of dating and the psychological need to chase. Another significant reason why men over 40 stop chasing women is the development of emotional maturity. In their younger years, many men are driven by impulse, desire, and the need for validation. Emotions can be intense, unpredictable, and often influenced by external factors such as attraction, peer pressure, or the excitement of the chase. But as men grow older, life experiences gradually teach them to manage their emotions with clarity and self-awareness. Emotional maturity doesn't mean they feel less, it means they respond differently. By 40, men have typically experienced a range of relationships, both successful and failed, which teaches valuable lessons about emotional intelligence. They learn to recognize the difference between genuine connection and superficial attraction. The impulsive need to pursue someone for the thrill of attention or approval fades because they understand that emotional fulfillment doesn't come from constant pursuit, but from authentic interaction. Men at this stage are less likely to chase someone just to prove something to themselves or others. They have learned that self-worth is not dependent on external validation. Emotional maturity also allows men to handle rejection differently. Younger men might obsess over a woman's lack of interest, taking it personally and reacting with frustration or desperation. But a mature man understands that not every connection is meant to be, and that rejection is not a reflection of his value. He learns to process disappointment without letting it dictate his self-esteem or actions. This perspective naturally reduces the compulsion to chase indiscriminately because he no longer fears missing out or being inadequate. Communication and understanding are another aspect of emotional maturity. Older men are often better at expressing their feelings and intentions clearly. They know how to approach relationships with honesty and transparency rather than using games, manipulation, or over-effort to win someone's attention. This shift in behavior is not about giving up. It's about approaching relationships from a place of integrity, respect, and balance. They focus on building connections where mutual understanding exists instead of constantly seeking validation or chasing someone who may not reciprocate interest. Emotional maturity also impacts decision-making in relationships. Men over 40 tend to be more deliberate about where they invest their time and energy. They can identify red flags and toxic patterns more quickly, avoiding unnecessary emotional stress. This self-awareness prevents wasted effort and reduces the need for a chase as they prioritize relationships that align with their values, goals, and emotional well-being. They have learned that pursuing the wrong person leads to frustration, while investing in the right connection brings fulfillment. Another critical component of emotional maturity is patience. Men in their 40s understand that meaningful relationships take time to develop. They are less concerned with instant gratification or proving desirability and more focused on creating bonds that last. This patience allows them to attract partners naturally, without forcing attention or chasing approval. They know that being authentic and grounded is far more attractive than trying to impress someone through constant pursuit. Finally, emotional maturity is tied to self-reflection and growth. Men over 40 spend more time understanding themselves, their needs, fears, and desires. This self-awareness allows them to engage in relationships intentionally rather than reactively. They are not driven by societal pressures or fleeting emotions, but by a genuine desire for connection and fulfillment. This inner clarity significantly reduces the urge to chase because they are confident that the right relationship will complement their life rather than define it. One of the most powerful factors that influence why men over 40 stop chasing women is the accumulation of past experiences. By this stage in life, most men have been through a variety of relationships, some fleeting, some long-term, and some deeply transformative. Each experience leaves a mark, teaching lessons about attraction, compatibility, and self-worth. These experiences shape behavior in profound ways, making men more selective and intentional in their approach to relationships. Younger men often approach dating with a sense of curiosity and experimentation, and sometimes with naivety. They may chase someone impulsively because the excitement of the pursuit feels thrilling, or because they are still learning to navigate emotional dynamics. But as men age, they carry the wisdom of their past into every new interaction. Heartbreaks, misunderstandings, and failed relationships are no longer just painful memories, they become guides. Men learn which patterns are worth repeating, which behaviors lead to unnecessary stress, and which connections truly align with their long-term goals. The experience of commitment and responsibility also plays a major role. Men in their 40s have often been in serious relationships, marriages, or long-term partnerships, and they understand the effort required to sustain love over time. They know that a meaningful relationship is built on mutual respect, trust, and compatibility, not on constant pursuit or superficial attraction. This understanding naturally reduces the desire to chase indiscriminately because they have seen that genuine connection cannot be forced or rushed. It has to grow organically. Past experiences also teach men the importance of boundaries. Younger men may overextend themselves to win someone over, often sacrificing their own needs in the process. Over time, men learn that boundaries are essential for healthy relationships. They recognize the value of protecting their time, energy, and emotional well-being. Chasing someone who does not reciprocate interest becomes less appealing because it risks emotional exhaustion, and men become more focused on mutual effort and respect rather than unilateral pursuit. Another lesson from past experiences is understanding patterns of attraction. Men begin to see what traits in a partner bring joy and what traits lead to conflict or dissatisfaction. They learn to differentiate between temporary chemistry and long-term compatibility. This insight helps them avoid wasting time chasing someone who may look attractive on the surface, but is unlikely to be a good match for their life. Experience teaches them that investing energy in the wrong relationship is far more draining than patiently waiting for a connection that resonates on multiple levels. Professional and personal life experiences also influence this shift. Men over 40 often carry responsibilities such as careers, children, or personal ambitions, which give them a practical perspective on where to invest their time. They have seen how energy spent on chasing someone who isn't a good fit can distract from other meaningful pursuits. Their history of both successes and failures encourages them to focus on relationships that add value rather than those that simply provide fleeting excitement. Finally, past experiences foster resilience. Men learn to handle disappointment, rejection, and uncertainty with grace and composure. They are less likely to be driven by fear of loneliness or societal expectations because they have already navigated those challenges before. This resilience allows them to approach dating and relationships with a sense of confidence and intentionality. They understand that the right connections will come in their own time, and chasing indiscriminately is unnecessary and unproductive. A major reason men over 40 stop chasing women is their increased awareness of how limited and valuable their energy and time really are. In younger years, it's easy to spend countless hours pursuing someone, going on endless dates, or trying to impress women without considering the cost to other areas of life. But as men age, they begin to recognize that energy is a finite resource, and how they choose to spend it directly impacts their happiness, health, and personal growth. Men in their 40s have often experienced the consequences of overextending themselves. Chasing someone who isn't genuinely interested or investing time in relationships that don't align with their goals can lead to emotional fatigue and unnecessary stress. Over time, men realize that constantly being on the hunt for romantic attention is draining, and that energy could be much better spent on pursuits that provide tangible long-term benefits. They start to ask themselves, is this worth my time, effort, and emotional investment? This self-reflective question naturally reduces the impulse to chase indiscriminately. Another aspect is the realization that quality matters more than quantity. Younger men may feel the need to date multiple people or prove their attractiveness to a wide range of women, but men over 40 begin to understand that meaningful relationships require intentional energy and focus. They prefer to invest their attention in a connection that has real potential for depth and compatibility, rather than scattering their efforts across superficial interactions. By prioritizing quality over quantity, they conserve their emotional resources and create space for relationships that truly matter. Professional responsibilities and personal commitments also make energy and time management essential. Men in their 40s often juggle careers, family obligations, and personal development goals. They have learned that chasing someone who is not aligned with their values or priorities can disrupt their life balance. Instead of spreading themselves too thin, they choose to channel energy into areas where it has a greater impact, whether that's strengthening existing relationships, focusing on career growth, or improving their health and well-being. This strategic allocation of time ensures that they live more intentionally rather than reacting impulsively to fleeting romantic opportunities. Emotional energy is another key consideration. Pursuing women without discernment can lead to repeated cycles of disappointment, rejection, or frustration. Men over 40 have often gone through enough emotional ups and downs to understand that preserving their emotional energy is critical. They learn to invest only in interactions that have mutual respect, shared goals, and genuine potential. This doesn't mean they avoid dating or intimacy. It means they approach it in a mindful, selective way that honors both their emotional well-being and the other person's. Time management also plays a role in shifting priorities. Younger men may feel that they have unlimited time to explore relationships, but as life progresses, men over 40 are acutely aware that time is precious. They understand that every hour spent chasing someone who isn't truly compatible is an hour taken away from personal growth, family, friendships, or long-term goals. This awareness encourages a more deliberate approach to relationships, where effort is invested wisely and strategically rather than scattered aimlessly. Finally, energy and time management are linked to self-respect. Men over 40 recognize that their time is valuable and that their energy is not something to be wasted on unreciprocated pursuits. They understand the importance of boundaries and self-care, and this naturally reduces the need to chase. By managing their resources carefully, they create a life that is balanced, fulfilling, and focused on connections that add real value rather than chasing temporary validation or fleeting attention. One of the most powerful reasons men over 40 stop chasing women is that their self-confidence often reaches a peak around this age. In their younger years, many men rely on external validation to feel worthy or attractive. They might chase women, try to impress others, or seek approval in ways that don't necessarily reflect who they are. But by the time men hit their 40s, years of life experience, personal achievements, and self-reflection combine to create a strong sense of self-assurance. They know their worth, and this confidence fundamentally changes the way they approach relationships. Self-confidence at this stage is less about arrogance and more about self-assurance. Men understand that they don't need to chase anyone to prove their value. They have cultivated a sense of identity that is independent of external approval, meaning that attraction is no longer a game of validation, but a natural byproduct of who they are. This allows them to approach women with authenticity rather than desperation, knowing that they bring unique qualities and experiences to any relationship. With confidence comes clarity in what they want and don't want. Men over 40 have often been through enough relationships to understand what makes them happy, what aligns with their values, and what drains their energy. This clarity eliminates the need for mindless pursuit. Instead of chasing someone simply because they are available or attractive, confident men seek partners who complement their life vision and emotional needs. They are selective not out of fear, but out of respect for themselves and their time. Confidence also reduces insecurity, which is a major driver of chasing behavior. Younger men often worry about being rejected or missing out, which can lead to obsessive behaviors or constant pursuit. But men in their 40s, having faced rejection and disappointment before, have developed resilience. They know that a single person's disinterest does not define their worth, and this mindset frees them from the compulsion to chase. They can approach dating and relationships from a calm, composed, and grounded perspective. This peak in self-confidence often comes from accomplishments beyond the dating world. Career achievements, financial stability, and personal growth contribute to a strong sense of self. Men recognize that they have built a life they are proud of, which makes them less dependent on romantic validation for self-esteem. When a man feels secure in his life, his energy shifts from trying to impress others to nurturing relationships that are mutually enriching and emotionally satisfying. Another aspect of self-confidence is authenticity. Men over 40 are more comfortable showing who they truly are without the need to perform or act a certain way to gain attention. They understand that genuine connection comes from honesty and presence, not superficial displays of charm or pursuit. This authenticity is magnetic and often draws the right kind of people into their lives naturally, eliminating the need for chasing. Finally, peak self-confidence encourages independence and emotional stability. Men realize that their happiness is not contingent upon a relationship or someone's approval. This sense of inner security allows them to approach relationships from a position of strength rather than neediness. The confidence they exude creates a natural boundary against unhealthy chasing, as they understand that only relationships rooted in mutual respect, admiration, and compatibility are worth their energy.